All right. Before we start, I'd like to, I know how difficult it is to put together something like this, a conference like this one, so I'd like to thank a few people, Katie, Jeremy, and the developer relations team. Anyone from the team here? No? Yes? Come on. Yes, yes, yes. Also, Avery and the Davids for approving this event, and then the marketing and the design teams. Anyone from those teams here? No? Yes? Anyway, give it up. Yes. All right, so my name is David. I'm an engineer at Tufts University where I help indirectly shape the minds of the future generation. And it's gonna be all right, don't worry. I also live in Charleston, South Carolina, and about that, if you have read the How Tailscale Works blog post, you probably have seen this visualization, and one of the cities that they use there is Charleston. So I always wonder if there was anyone from Tailscale living in Charleston, but my guess is that probably it was just a design decision, but I'll ask the designers later. So yeah, today I just want to talk about how I started with Tailscale, how I started using it at work, and then we'll have a little detour where we'll talk about funneling, which seems to be the highlight of these conferences, and then just talk briefly about some future plans that I have for Tailscale at work. So how many here work at a university? 3, 4, awesome. Yeah, I know one at least. And to me, I think that universities are interesting organizations. A couple of things that come to mind are we have a lot of different teams working on different projects, mostly independently, and we have hundreds of subnets. And that translates in basically operational churn. But to me, everything started with WireGuard. I was in the market for a better VPN, just a way to connect my devices in a secure way. And I remember finding WireGuard and thinking, wow, I really can build a good mental model on how the tool works. And then I read this comment from Avery that made total sense. He said that over 20 years or more working with VPNs, we now know what cryptographic constructs work and which ones do not work, and WireGuard, the author of WireGuard, basically implemented only the things that work and removed all the other stuff, and that made total sense. But still, it requires a lot of maintenance, it has a high operational cost, you have to do a lot of tedious manual things, and logically you try to build some tooling around it, but it's not quite right. So then Tailscale comes along, and well, it solves the issues that you had running WireGuard running a standalone. So basically opening ports and also distributing the keys in a secure manner. So you get a taste of zero trust, or as I like to call it, 1%, because I trust Tailscale, and then Tailscale trusts my IDP for identity. And then you also quickly realize that Tailscale is just amazing. I mean, it just keeps running there and providing this connectivity. And then at some point, you experience this, right? You are using Tailscale at the personal level, but then at work, it's something different. Right? So, yeah, this gives capture, I think, very well how I felt at that time. Oh, by the way, does anyone recognize the second GIF, what movie that is coming from? Thank God. Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure. So you start thinking about it, and you think, okay, it will be super easy just to grab one node from my from work and just incorporating that into your telnet, and then that's it. And you also think about, well, I could have a setup like this one where I only route work traffic through a WireGuard channel, only that traffic, and then all the other traffic goes through whatever you want to use for either a WireGuard channel against a VM or just directly through your internet provider. And this is a super convenient setup that it wasn't trivial to set up to me at least, prior Tailscale. So the first stage is, well, at least I asked for permission. You don't have to, but I did ask for permission. So, and that can be tough depending the culture of the organization. So, be prepared and pick the right person to talk about this. So the typical arguments that I hear about were, okay, we're going to have another piece of software that is going to be, it's going to increase our attack surface, and all that is great, and it's reasonable, but to me, just the increase in connectivity that you get with Tailscale really offsets all the security concerns. But still, the way I try to address that is by talking about the founder's expertise on this domain, the networking domain, and also in the programming language that drives Tailscale. I'll also talk about the openness of the company. All the, to me, that's very important. All the code is basically open source, perhaps with the exception of the control plane, but then we have headspace. I talk about I show the internal policy, which highlights how the company thinks about security. Talk about the security bulletins that allow you to react quickly when inevitably security issues happen. And then this final one that I really enjoy, where Tailscale periodically releases either blog posts or technical documents about how Tailscale works, and that really helps you use the tool more effectively. But then, okay, you hopefully win the argument, and then you run Tailscale. You extend your telnet to incorporate the systems that you built at work, right? But then you want to spread the love and just make sure that your teams can also enjoy Tailscale. So you write more slides and talk about the first thing that you have to decide is, okay, do I introduce Tailscale as a VPN or as a mesh network? And if we introduce it as a VPN, then that's easy in a sense that everybody knows what a VPN is, but then it has very negative connotations. But then if you talk about a mesh network, that's more of an exotic topic. Maybe we don't know that much about it, but then I think that is the right way to go because it sets the foundations to then talking about all the functionality that Tailscale provides on top of that network. So then here are some things that I talk about on that presentation. I'm not going to go through it, but at the end I talk about all that extra functionality, right? And one of those pieces of functionality is funneling. And just so we are on the same page, funneling basically allows you to route internet traffic to your tail nodes. But that is not what I want to show you here today. What I really want to talk about is that visualization or maybe animation that I think Shane wrote. Is Shane here today? Oh, he's there. Okay, awesome. I think that we are going to be able to trace the success of Tailscale back to this animation. But yeah, so the way it works, you can check that the code there. But he uses this library Matter.js that basically implements a physics engine. And what that allows you to do is to define a 2D wall where you can create objects and define parameters that you can tell how those objects interact in the wall, right? And then at some point you say, okay, well, now render the state of this wall over time in this canvas element. So that's great, and Shane, what he did there was to he dropped circles at the very top of the wall, and then those circles follow the funnel, which is basically 4 rectangles, right? But then I thought, what if we map actual funnel request to the creation of the circles? And that's what I have running here with these slides. I have a little HTTP server that is listening for traffic at the other side of the funnel and then sends the request over WebSocket to a piece of code running in the browser, which is JavaScript. And then that JavaScript code creates new circles on the wall. So now let's add a counter here, hopefully demo time again. So just to make it more dramatic. Is someone already going there? What is happening? All right, so all those are now requests from someone. So that's pretty cool, how many we have. So yeah, this is really a toy example, but really highlights the, calm down. But yeah, try to break it. Actually, if you keep sending requests, it's gonna break the funnel. I have seen that, so keep going. Yeah, actually it's not very logic, right? Because the circles are pushing each other, but it's pretty cool. Anyway, calm down, come on. All right, so that was a toy example, but definitely funneling is a super useful feature of Tailscale. I encourage you to read that blog post from Z. So yeah, so back to the main topic of the slides. I finished giving the presentation to the team, and then my manager comes and asks, hey, we're having some issues connecting some on-premise machines with an AWS resource. And he asked if I could help. I said, sure. And basically the RDS service was the service was an RDS service, which is a managed, serverless, blah, 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 blah. And the KB docs have a great document on how to solve that problem. And basically involves adding a new EC2 instance that acts as a bridge relay between the subnet where you have the service and then the on-premise host, right? Okay. So yeah, so everything was fine with the exception that the people that created the service created that service as a public service. So I didn't have access to the subnet or AWS. I couldn't see or get the subnet where the RDS service was running. So I couldn't advertise that subnet when I was starting Tailscale. So what I ended up using is just advertise the public IP. And you may be thinking why you didn't have direct access to that public IP from the on-premise boxes. And the reason for that was that the Direct Connect, which is this piece of hardware that, well, connects on-premise networks to your VPCs, that wasn't properly set up at that time. So the packets were not reaching the destination. So I just ran that EC2 instance in a VPC for which I knew the Tailscale D was able to reach directly the machine and then create direct connections. So yeah, in a day or so, I had that working, and a couple of teams were able to just carry on with their tasks and running their analysis and accessing the RDS service. So yeah, small victory. But a couple of observations about that little project. The first one is that I wouldn't have been able to do this with so quickly, definitely, without Tailscale. I will have to open tickets and get the right connection set up, so it wouldn't have been possible. And then the other one, maybe more interesting, is that I built this very quickly. It was super simple, and maybe it was a quick hack. It was only running for a week or something, but it didn't feel it was a hack, and that was because Tailscale hides really well all these tedious networking operational tasks that are very prone to errors. And then the other thing, which is a theme of this talk, is that Tailscale D is just extremely robust. I know unless that there's a physical failure in the network, that guy is gonna keep just providing connectivity. So that's super, super cool. So where are we now? After this little success, I got approval to get our telnet, and now the team of about 5-10 people is using Tailscale for just accessing the services that we built, infrastructure that we built, way easy, in a much easier manner. And yeah, just basically replace also the old VPN. So I hope that in the near future we can have more teams at TAFs having their own telnets just experience the same level of connectivity that we do. And that may be more advanced or ambitious, but I hope that we can slowly migrate the old VPN to use Tailscale for all the users. And just a final thought, in that transition between running my own telnet and then running a telnet for like 10 people, that's an interesting transition, and I definitely learned many things there. So hopefully next time I can talk a little bit more about that. But yeah, that's everything I have for you today. Thank you so much.